Okay, for our presentation, we decided to do doping in sports. Many of you might be familiar with the term doping, but for the ones who don't, doping is the use of illegal, prohibited substances in order to gain an advantage over competitors. Doping started to become popular for individuals within the gaming world to avoid falling asleep while playing. Some of the major drugs include amphetamines and Adderall, but many worldwide drugs can be used. So doping started to become popular in July of 2015. Before this point, using drugs was not well known. Many people who use drugs are ranging from late teens to early 20s. They are mostly used in males, but can be a worldwide phenomenon.
So there has been famous players caught doping. Here we have Corey Friesen and Coyne Garland. So as we learn about doping in esports, it's very common that some famous players have been caught doping. Corey Friesen is 33 years old, and he was caught with Adderall in his system while playing at the ESL 1 Katowice event in Poland in March of 2015. There's no rules against Adderall in the official esports manual, so there was no punishment. And another player that was caught using Adderall was Coyne Garland, who is now 23 years old. He was the 2020 Call of Duty champion and was benched from his team when the use of Adderall became too controlling to the point where he could no longer be trusted. And once again, since there are no rules against Adderall, he was not formally punished. Famous tournaments had players caught doping. There has been a doping scandal that occurred in 2015 at the ESL 1 Katowice tournament. It involved the team under the name Cloud9, which started in the previous slide with a famous player known as Corey Friesen. He publicly stated that him and his teammates took the drug Adderall before the tournament. Himself and multiple teammates were later kicked off of the team. Since this incident, ESL has not had any other positive doping incidents.
Most doping in esports comes from Adderall, which is a drug prescribed for ADHD. It helps to improve players' focus, attention, and reflexes during the game. It is known as the performance-enhancing drug of esports, and it can change the way emotions are regulated. Adderall can raise blood pressure, body temp, and heart rate. Side effects include, but not limited to, nervousness, irritability, blurred vision, insomnia, and lack of appetite. The risk of using these drugs can be long-term or even sudden death. When stopping the drug completely, players can experience depression, irritability, stomach aches, and vomiting. Several narcotics, stimulants, and glucocorticoids are banned from esports tournaments.
Testing and consequences of doping. Many tests are used to test for doping, including urine, venous blood, which is deoxyrized blood, and dried spots. Tests are often tested at any time and location. This also includes after a game or session at home. While during COVID-19, the doping tests were at halt, the Esports League have decided to start the doping tests again in Counter-Strike Global Offense competitions. Russian Federation was reported for the most doping violations with 17, while Kenya is following in their lead with 8 violations.
So what can be done to control doping in esports? Online events are pretty hard to monitor because players can forge paperwork or stay clean prior to testing and then just start doping after the testing. Because of this, finding a good way to control doping for online events is still something that's being worked on and refined. However, for in-person events, they can conduct spot checks and have event drug tests. These methods have worked really well for the in-person events, which is why most doping happens for the online ones. Dr. Ian Tan, who's the co-founder of the gaming company and Esports Business Network, spoke on the issue of doping in esports when he said, For legitimizing the sport, we must all come together as one regardless of game, genre, race, or gender to fight doping in esports together. He also said that he hopes that esports will one day reach a point where all players simply compete based on skills and hard work without wanting to use any enhancements to gain a competitive advantage. And then these are our references.